Happy Monday, television family, and yes, there is such a thing as a happy Monday. If you don't work for a living, it can't be too bad. 12th day of January 2026. I am Dan Kuntz. It is 36 degrees. Fairly clear skies. Going to have some sunshine today. Temperatures all this week are going to be quite mild. We'll cool down a little bit over the weekend. But right now it looks like there's a big ridge of high pressure that's blocking any kind of weather from paying us a visit. And that means this time of the year, even though the temperature is going to be very mild for the middle of January, we're going to have the inversion, I'm afraid. Going to be pretty cloudy by Wednesday morning anyway, and it's going to last that way through the weekend. Forecast details, of course, always begin our festivities because weather is the one thing that everybody wants to know because it affects pretty much everybody. News, yes. Sports, lots. Busy weekend, of course. We now know that the Seahawks will take on the 49ers on Saturday in the divisional round of the NFC playoffs. When we play the Seahawks, we won't know until after tonight's game between the Steelers and the Houston Texans. All we know is that they will play the Niners, and they will do so on Saturday, and all the other weekend sports activities we'll send your way as well. And, of course, Chelan County has a brand new coroner. He took over from Wayne Harris at the start of the year. His name is Earl Crowe. He sat down with the executive producer of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, Jefferson Robbins, to get to know Earl Crowe. Of course, it's an election year for the coroner. Wayne decided to retire before his term was up, and you're going to get to know the new Chelan County coroner, Earl Crowe, in the back half of the show. It's a conversation you don't want to miss, and here we go, tour time. That's what we're looking like today. It looks like Malcolm's got that camera zoomed out quite a bit. I'm liking these slightly longer days. It's now getting fairly perceptible. Sunrise this morning will be at 7:45. Sunset tonight 4:33. 8 hours 47 minutes of daylight. We're going to have 1 minute and 47 seconds more daylight today than we had yesterday. By the end of the week, we'll be over the 2 minute mark. Each day is going to start getting to be about 2 minutes longer than the previous day. High atop Hay Canyon, we say good morning to Cashmere. You can see a little bit of low clouds and fog there. You can see the clouds, but they're pretty high up there in the stratosphere, so they're not really socking anybody in with some low clouds and fog. That hasn't happened. It will by the time we get to the middle of the week. Let's see what Rocky Reach Dam looks like. It looks something like that. Sitting there cranking out all the electricity we need and the electricity we don't use. Whoop. Send it over to the other side of the mountains. They write us big fat checks, and that's why we have really cheap electricity around here. Thank you very much, Rocky Reach Dam. And finally, downtown Wenatchee, USA, high atop the Cascadian, looking at the Widener apartment complex, which continues to get taller and taller. Remember, that's going to be 6 stories across the board, and then they'll have a 7th smaller story. It's going to be like a clubhouse. We're going to have a rooftop lounge. Ain't going to be too bad at all. And you can see the cross in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. That's pretty cool, too. I like that. So it's not going to be too bad today. From our friends at Colonial Vista Senior Living in Wenatchee, where comfort, care, and community come together. Partly sunny today, very warm. 49 our high today. We hit 38 yesterday because there is an atmospheric river. It's way up north. It's going over British Columbia, but it's big and it's packing some warm air with it. So we are going to see very warm temperatures. 40 for the overnight low tonight. Then it gets pretty foggy and pretty cloudy. We'll have some clouds and fog that won't really burn off very much on Tuesday, and because of that, we're only going to get up to 48 degrees, which is still incredibly warm for this time of the year. And then we cool down a little bit because the clouds are going to be pretty thick, and we're not going to get any kind of radiant heat from the sun, depending really on how dense the clouds are. Now, the National Weather Service has admitted if the clouds aren't too dense, we could bump up into the 40s, but if they're pretty thick clouds preventing the sun from getting the job done, it'll be more like 38. And you can see, look at the weekend. It looks good. 44, 44, 44, sunshine. It's winter still, at least in the Wenatchee Valley. Hasn't bothered to show up yet. It didn't show up in December for sure. And here we are in the middle of January. We're still waiting for winter. Yeah, if it wants to take its sweet time getting here, that's fine by me. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we got the news on this Monday. Watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Your favorite local channel is now available for free on your smart TV and connected streaming devices. Watch live programming and catch up with the latest shows on demand. See the local stories that matter to you. NCW Life, now on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Hi, I'm Amanda Walden with A. Walden Insurance Group. Medicare can be overwhelming, but you don't have to figure it out alone. I've been helping people understand their Medicare options for over a decade. Medicare isn't a one-size-fits-all. I'll help you understand your coverage options so you can feel confident in your decisions. Let's find the right Medicare plan for you. Call me today or come and see me at my office located on South Chelan Avenue in Wenatchee between the YMCA and the Social Security office. I look forward to meeting you soon.
Fibercrete fireproof safety rooms can be the difference between life and death for you and your family. Typical fireproof safety rooms are 8x8 Fibercrete panels providing a solid sanctuary. Fibercrete safety rooms can be above ground, buried underground, or built within new home construction. Best of all, a safety room by Fibercrete is very affordable. Call 360-770-2088. You owe it to your family to find out more about Fibercrete safety rooms.
Are you dealing with a pest or weed issue and you just don't know what to do?
We use the best pest control methods approved for areas with kids and pets.
Whether it's rats, mice, ants, or spiders,
or something else altogether, we provide the coaching and solutions you're looking for.
And you can know that your dollars are supporting a local, family-owned and operated business.
Allow us to help you get back to living healthy and pest-free. Harvest Valley Pest Control.
There's some low clouds out there. It's a little out of focus. Wow. 36 degrees, upper 40s today with some sun breaks. Then we'll have quite a bit of cloud cover where it looks like all the computer models are in agreement that we're going to have a pretty good inversion by Tuesday, and it's probably going to stay that way until we get to the weekend. It's 7 minutes after the hour. About 50 people gathered Friday night in Memorial Park, not far from where I'm sitting, to hold a candlelight vigil honoring 2 people killed during encounters with federal immigration enforcement. Organizers said the gathering honored 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good. She was the one who was shot and killed by a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent in Minneapolis on Wednesday, and 38-year-old Silvero Villegas Gonzalez, who died while he was in detention in Chicago back in September of last year. Weekly demonstration organizer Diane Young said she was surprised by the deaths and questioned how often tragedies like this will continue to happen. Karen Kellerman is the chair of the Douglas County Democrats, and she said enforcement actions many of the times happen quietly in neighborhoods, leaving families and communities fearful. She added that she expects demonstrations to continue growing in response to the current Trump administration. A proposed bill in our state would limit agencies who use automated license plate readers, or ALPRs. That bill would prevent them from retaining collected data for longer than 72 hours. ALPRs, like flock cameras, came under scrutiny last year after a default setting in their system caused law enforcement statewide to share data with the United States Border Patrol unbeknownst to the agencies, including the Wenatchee and East Wenatchee Police Departments. The proposed bill would make it unlawful for agencies to use an automated license plate reader system for immigration investigations or immigration enforcement. Agencies would be unable to collect data in certain areas, including near healthcare facilities, schools, places of worship, the courts, or food banks. In December, Wenatchee Police Department Chief Edgar Reinfeld opted to turn his agency's flock cameras off following a ruling out of Skagit County that determined that all pictures and information gathered by the license plate readers were public record. The proposed bill would make license plate reader data exempt from the Public Records Act. And by the way, the legislature begins their 60-day session today in Olympia. Wenatchee's Public Works Director says the effects are still being felt from that big water main break downtown on the Avenue on December 29th. The resulting water leak was so severe it caused an excavator to sink into the street while attempting to dig out the pipe so they could fix it. Tom Wacholder briefed the City Council Thursday night on the problem.
Last Monday at approximately 10 a.m. we had a 10-inch cast iron water main break on Wenatchee Avenue, just north of 5th Street. It was a 1960s era cast iron, and the pipe split an entire section of pipe, so approximately 20 feet in length. And it was such a catastrophic break that it washed out all the sand that was underneath the roadway. So when crews mobilized on the scene with equipment, actually the road collapsed underneath. So good news is there was no injuries, and then the excavator sustained minor damage. It did leave quite a large sinkhole behind. It took about 110 yards of gravel to backfill. So as folks can see that there's still a heave section of the roadway. The crews are actively monitoring this patch. We'll construct a more permanent patch later this year, and there'll be some lane closures as well. But as Mayor Poyer indicated, we were able to resolve this matter with in-house crews. We didn't have to go through an emergency contract procedure and pay prevailing wage. So this was a big win for the community, and just to showcase the effort and the talent that we have in-house here at the cities is quite amazing.
A Wenatchee police officer says he was temporarily blinded by a handheld laser, and the man who allegedly held it faces a criminal charge. Albert Gonzalez, who was recently promoted to sergeant with the Wenatchee Police Department, says he was on patrol close to midnight on January 1st when a pedestrian aimed a green laser at his police vehicle. He says the beam left him temporarily unable to see. He arrested the man accused of aiming it. 47-year-old Otto Tortuga Gomez of Orondo was allegedly carrying an Olight brand flashlight laser combo. He was arraigned on Wednesday before Chelan County Judge Robert Jordan on a single count of unlawful laser discharge, which is a Class C felony in our state when the target is a law enforcement officer. Gomez faces a possible trial come March. The Washington State Department of Natural Resources is transferring 28 surplus wildfire engines to wildfire-prone communities this spring. 5 of those engines coming to our area. In Chelan County, Lake Wenatchee Fire and Rescue will get 1 engine. 2 will go to the Grant County Fire Districts 3 and 6, and another 2 will be gifted to Okanagan Fire Districts 9 and 16. DNR says the effort is to help bolster wildfire suppression response at the local level. The engines are being provided at no cost. They are made available through the DNR Surplus Engine Program, which is an initiative to place a variety of wildfire engines and other equipment in high-risk areas of the state. Search and rescue is an important function in mountain communities. Last year, the all-volunteer Okanagan County Search and Rescue Team responded to about 30 calls for service across their territory. It's a big territory. They responded to stuck climbers, to lost seniors, and everything in between. It's a 50-member team. They've been around since 1998, and they're recruiting. They're always recruiting, and they offered us this video to show how.
Today we're doing a training targeted towards new volunteers. Practicing a lot of different hands-on skills like navigation, using radios, ground searches, all sorts of stuff like that. Search and rescue, we help search for and rescue individuals who are in need either in the backcountry setting or sometimes closer to town, whether that's, hikers, climbers, boaters, anyone that kind of needs assistance. We have a really solid group of volunteers who dedicate a lot of their time to go out and help those individuals.
So today is the WAC 118 course. So WAC 118 is Washington Authority Codes. So the legislature wrote the minimum standards to participate in the search and rescue statewide, which is survival, first aid, radio communications, aerial, using aircraft, compass and map and compass, and different techniques and search techniques. There's a minimum standard, so we complete that for our new members and refresher course for older members.
Okanagan County is the largest county in Washington State, and so we have a really vast area to cover and a lot of differing topography. And so, yeah, we really need a solid group of volunteers just to cover the large area we have as well as the very different landscapes.
Well, no different than any county. We have to stay proficient on our skills, so we're always put forth our best effort. And, it's important to the families of what we do and stuff. It's important to ourselves what we do, but most importantly, it's for the families in the community. But we also have to train under the WAC 118 statewide because we also go assist other counties, and other counties come assist us too.
We're looking for anybody. We need like a vast spectrum of skills. The folks that are gonna hike way into the backcountry with a heavy backpack, but also the folks that wanna just help at the base command station and help run the radios and do logistics. So we need all sorts of skill sets.
We look for a wide variety because we have, I'll use the term mountain goats, and I'm not a mountain goat. And everybody all the way down to people who make a supply run to town. So we could actually we have had people, elderly or maybe even a little bit physically disabled, they can participate in search and rescue because there's always a function for somebody.
To get involved, our Okanagan County Volunteer Search and Rescue Association helps recruit and onboard new volunteers for us. So they have a website and a Facebook page, and yeah, they're the folks that kind of help bring new people into the team.
Today we're doing our refresher training on our rope rescue systems. We have some new members that are interested in learning the ropes. I've been with Okanagan Search and Rescue since 2017. In Okanagan County, we have a huge amount of recreation relative to a small population size in a really dispersed large county, and so it's super important that we have a large pool of volunteers to draw from when we have a mission anywhere from the Pasayten Wilderness to McLaughlin Canyon near Tenasket, or anywhere in between. It's a huge area, complex terrain, and a lot of recreation that's used in our landscape here. You know, even though we do have to do quite a bit of training in order to stay fresh on this stuff, it's pretty rare that we have to use it on a mission. We did have 3 or 4 rescues in 2024 that required rope rescue techniques, and that's more than normal. But when we do have to use those techniques, it's really the only thing that'll work, so it's important that we are trained up and refreshed and ready to deploy those skills when we need to. I would definitely recommend community members to get involved. It's a lot of fun. We get to meet folks that we might not otherwise work with across the county and provide a good service, helping people in time of need. Reach out to the Okanagan County Sheriff's Office or through the website at Okanagan County Search and Rescue Association. We will interview folks and make sure that they know what to expect and what the requirements are, and tell you a little bit more about how to get involved, and we'd be happy to get you trained up and bring you onto the team.
And finally on this Monday, a former Grant County deputy and a Quincy native is now a Washington State Patrol Trooper. Stormy Bauman graduated Wednesday with a class of 58 after serving 18 years in law enforcement. The new recruits were inducted in a ceremony at the state capitol in Olympia. Bauman was previously a Quincy police officer, most recently a collision investigator with the Grant County Sheriff's Office. 13th District State Representative Alex Ybarra, also a Quincy resident, was on hand to congratulate Bauman. The newly minted trooper will be assigned to patrol out of the Moses Lake office. And couple of things. It's that time of the year again, especially tomorrow. It's going to be busy around here. It's top 10 time once again, so tune in at 1 o'clock, also on our Facebook page and our YouTube page for the speeches, the top 10 speeches for the lovely young ladies from Wenatchee and Eastmont High School, the senior girls who might want to be in royalty. Well, they do want to be in royalty or they wouldn't be doing it tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the America Performing Arts Center, again across all of our platforms. And then at 6 o'clock tomorrow night, they will make the announcement for the top 10 that will compete for the Apple Blossom Festival Royal Court on Valentine's Day, February 14th. All 3 of the events, the 2 tomorrow, and of course, Royalty Selection Night proper at the America Performing Arts Center. And that's the news on this Monday. We'll be right back at it again after the weekend to find out what's going on around here. We have professionals who find out what's going on around here. They're good. Proof positive, watch the news tonight at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. The NCW Life Evening News will be posted on our YouTube page right around 5 o'clock. We're on Roku, we're on Apple TV, we're on the Amazon Fire. We're on fire. We're just smoking hot. And don't forget, we have an email address that we use it, and you can too, news@ncwlife.com. Not surprisingly, we have a lot of sports. That's usually the case on Monday. Today's no exception. In 2 minutes, you're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
It's time to begin the search for the 2026 Apple Blossom Royal Court. Join NCW Life Channel for live coverage of the Top 10 speeches and Top 10 announcement on Tuesday from the Numerica Performing Arts Center. Coverage is brought to you in part by our Platinum supporter, Alpine Air Heating and Cooling, as well as Coldwell Banker Cascade Real Estate. It all begins Tuesday at 1 o'clock here on your official television home of the Washington State Apple Blossom Festival, NCW Life Channel.
A kitchen that makes mouths water and jaws drop. A bedroom from a dream with a bath from a spa. A walk-in you'd never want to walk out of. A pool like the fountain of youth. And a view that never gets old. When buying or selling a home of the highest standards, it's comforting to be represented by a real estate company with standards to match. Coldwell Banker Global Luxury. Live well with Coldwell.
When your heating or cooling system is giving you trouble, call the diagnostic doctor from Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning.
Here's the culprit right here.
All joking aside, when you call Dick's, you're calling 35 years of experience at customer service right here in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's strongly believes in repairing before replacing, and they service all major brands of HVAC units.
You trust the same doctor for your health and the same dentist for your smile. Trust Global Car Care to keep your vehicle running strong. We track your car's history so it gets the right care at the right time. With our 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on parts and labor, you'll drive away with confidence. Global Car Care, your automotive experts. We service all makes and models, but specialize in Sprinter vans, Mercedes, Audi, Volkswagen, and BMW. Call or visit us today.
That's a pretty sunrise. Let's do sports. Pretty entertaining weekend of NFL playoff football. If you were the road team, you had a very good weekend. Here's your scores in case you missed it. On Saturday, the Rams traveled to Carolina, knocked off the Panthers 34-31. And then in the evening, it was the Bears hosting the Packers, and they beat them 31-27. Green Bay blowing a big lead in the fourth quarter. Exciting games yesterday in Jacksonville. The Bills knocked off Jacksonville 27-24. San Francisco traveled to Philadelphia, and they beat the Eagles, so they will not be defending their championship. Philadelphia won't. 23-19 there. Then the only real snoozer was New England at home over the Chargers last night, 16-3. Of course, one more game remains in the wild card round, and that is the Texans and the Steelers tonight. So here's what we know. The Seahawks will play the 49ers. They will play Saturday at Lumen Field. We just don't know what time. We'll know after the conclusion of tonight's Houston-Pittsburgh game. It'll either be at 1:30 in the afternoon or 5 o'clock at night. We don't even know who's going to televise it, but we'll figure that out. In case you missed it over the weekend, the college football playoff semifinals were played, and now we know who's going to play for the national championship 1 week from tonight. Number 10, Miami. Well, that's how they say it in the South, Miami. They beat Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl, in the Fiesta Bowl, 31-27. Indiana crushed Oregon in the Peach Bowl, 56-22. It wasn't even that close. So the national championship, 1 week from tonight, it's the Hurricanes and the Hoosiers in Miami's home stadium. It'll be a good one, 4:30 1 week from today on ESPN. Seattle Kraken saw their 10-game point streak come to an end on Saturday down in Raleigh. They lost to Carolina. The final there was 3-2. That 10-game point streak was the second longest in franchise history. Now they got to start all over again. They'll be playing in the most famous arena in the world, Madison Square Garden tonight, 4 o'clock, against the Rangers. Women's college basketball looks something like this. Husky ladies, by the way, yesterday had a big lead. They gave it all the way to Purdue, who came back and beat the Lady Huskies yesterday, 78-72. Earlier in the weekend, Santa Clara beat Washington State. Eastern stuck by Montana, and Gonzaga beat Portland in women's college basketball. Men's college basketball, way to go, Huskies. Big victory for them, knocking off the Buckeyes at home, 81-74. Eastern beat Montana by just a point. St. Mary's took care of Washington State, 88-82. Prep High School, there was a lot of basketball over the weekend. I know because I watched some of it at Eastmont High School in the game that we had right here. The Eastmont girls beat Moses Lake 53-45. 38. Eisenhower beat Wenatchee on their home court 41-23. Toppenish crushed Ephrata. Manson couldn't play, so when you forfeit in a high school game, the winning team gets 1 point per quarter. That's the 4-0 final there. Omak beat Tenasket in a big way. Brewster got by Liberty Bell. Wilden Creek beat Orville. Waterville, Mansfield over Aniad, and Colville over Okanagan. That was the girls basketball on Friday. Boys basketball on Friday. Here's your scoreboard. Moses Lake over Eastmont. High scoring game, entertaining as all get out. 82-73. Eisenhower completes the sweep at the Panthers. Toppenish snuck by Ephrata, but not by much. Chelan boys beat Manson on Friday night. It was Tenasket over Omak, Okanagan over Colville, Liberty Bell beat Brewster, Orville took care of Wilson Creek, and Aniad over Waterville Mansfield. That was Friday. Let's do Saturday. Davis knocked off Eastmont. That's not a misprint. Davis, by the way, is the #1 girls team in the state. 85-10. Davis is good, in case you haven't figured that one out. West Valley doubled up on Moses Lake. Prosser dispatched Quincy without any problems at all. Brewster beat Lakeside at the 9 Mile Falls. It was Waterville Mansfield over Okanagan and Manson over Soap Lake. Boys basketball on Saturday. Davis completes the sweep, but at least the Wildcats made a game out of it. West Valley took care of Moses Lake. It was Prosser over Quincy. Liberty Bell over Toledo. Lakeside at a 9 Mile Falls. Got a split. Anyway, the boys beat Brewster there. Amara Cooley Heartline over Okanagan. It was Manson over Soap Lake, and Orville beat Garden City Academy. There was a basketball tournament over the weekend. Well, it was a showcase. The NCW showcase started Friday, and then it concluded Saturday at the Town Toyota Center. At the college on Friday, Tulalip Heritage beat Lake Roosevelt, and DeSales beat Cascade. And then they started playing basketball at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning at the Town Toyota Center, and they just kept right on playing. There are your final scores there. That is a lot of basketball. Well, the Wenatchee Wild, they lost Friday night at home to Moose Jaw, and then they lost Saturday on the road to Vancouver. But yesterday at the Town Toyota Center, in a game that lasted over 3 hours, got a little chippy, but they did beat Vancouver in a shootout yesterday. Austin Drade, the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild.
Down to one man on the Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning power play. 5-on-4. Coming out of the box is Braden Regal. Across for Benson. Onto the stick of Sherbina. He scores! Close to being ruled for his 100th point in his Western Hockey League career last night. Shot on Chorney. Caught in front of the net, down on top of it like a starfish is Tobias Tversnik. He keeps it out, all appendages pinned to those posts. Wild steal it, and they break it down the right wing. Wedman looking for an angle. Against two with back checker nearby. Laid it off the end boards with a change behind him. Turn around, toss, he scores! Won it all the way around the net, faces, fires, into the top corner. Wild on top, 2-0. Marson & Marson Wild penalty box comes Josh Toll. Marson & Marson building this Wild team one player at a time. Under 12 to go, second period. And the Wenatchee Wild lead it to 1. Tittleback, chance from low in the right circle. He throws it home and beats Tobias Tversnik and cuts the lead to 1. Vancouver answering a moment ago with Adam Tittleback. Tittleback with it left circle. He scores to tie it. He went sharp angle near side on the first one. He goes to the left face-off circle just off the dot and finds a target at the back of the net to tie it at 12:26 of the second. Kraft, a left-handed shooter out of Moorhead, Minnesota. Brings it right wing quickly in. Top shelf, he scores! Domenichelli, 5 goals on the season. A right-handed shooter, first one we've seen in this contest. Starts toward the net, stays inside the dots, wrist shot, save, Wild win in the shootout, drive home safely.
So the Wild win one game over the weekend. They will welcome the Winterhawks from Portland at the Town Toyota Center on Friday night. We're going to be busy. We got the Apple Blossom festivities going on tomorrow at 1 o'clock and then at 6 o'clock. And then Thursday, our cameras will be at the Wenatchee High School Gymnasium as the Panthers wrestle against Moses Lake. The girls at 6, the boys at 7. You can watch it on our Facebook page and eventually on television. And then Saturday, we'll be at Eastmont and their gymnasium for the Panthers and the Wildcats, the Bridge of Sportsmanship basketball edition. The girls at 4:30, the boys at 6. Grand Olsen with the call right here on the NCW Life Channel. And those are just some of the games that people are playing at the bottom of the hour. It is National Pharmacist Day today. The guy who you get, or gal who you get your pills from, Big Pharma. Thanks to Big Pharma, it's not a bad thing to have. I mean, everybody has a prescription, I think. I'm not too sure. The idea of a pharmacist goes all the way back to ancient Greek, ancient Rome, ancient Egypt. Pharmacists were originally priests. They got out of that business. And then finally, in ancient Greece and Rome, the duties of the pharmacist and the physician were separated from one another until they finally passed a law that prohibited doctors from actually handing out the pills. In our area, in the United States, it was Benjamin Franklin's idea. He liked that idea to separate the duties between the physician and the guy who puts all, and gal who puts all the pills together. It makes sense, really, if you think about it. And then everything changed after World War II when pharmaceutical drugs became cheaper and more widely available, and then it made the pharmaceutical industry, who is now, of course, taken over the world. So next time you get your prescription filled, thank your local pharmacist. It's their day today. It's 31 minutes after the hour. Today in history. We're into Super Bowls. We'll be doing these things for about another month or so. Probably the most important professional football game ever played. Super Bowl III, the Orange Bowl in Miami. The New York Jets were a 19.5-point underdog to the Baltimore Colts. The Colts had lost one game all year. Joe Namath says, I guarantee we're going to win, and they did it. Super Bowl III, which, by the way, was the first Super Bowl to be officially called the Super Bowl. The first two were nicknamed the Super Bowl. This was officially the Super Bowl, one of the greatest upsets of all time. The previous year's Super Bowl was also held at the Orange Bowl in Miami, so it's the only time in Super Bowl history that the game was played back-to-back in the same location, in the same city. This is the earliest Super Bowl where the entire television broadcast has been preserved on videotape. Normally they would erase it, but it was such an historical moment, they went ahead and kept the tape. Joe Namath is the only quarterback to win the Super Bowl MVP without scoring a touchdown. He didn't run for a touchdown. He didn't throw for a touchdown. He was still named Super Bowl MVP. Of course, the Jets still haven't won a Super Bowl. They haven't been back to a Super Bowl. They haven't even won they didn't even win another playoff game for 14 years. And this Super Bowl matchup is the only one that's ever happened. That can't happen again because the Jets and the Colts are both in the AFC. Super Bowl IX, sometimes called Super Bowl IX. I don't know why they do the Roman numerals. It's stupid to me. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeat the Minnesota Vikings. The final there was 16-6, the first of their 6 Super Bowl championships. It was in New Orleans. It was supposed to be in the Superdome. It wasn't built yet. This is 1975. They had to move it to Tulane Stadium because, well, the Superdome wasn't open yet, and it was pretty chilly. It was cloudy, windy, and 46 degrees at kickoff. Pittsburgh begins their dynasty on this date in 1975. The Persian Gulf War. I remember this debate. This was huge. But they did it. They gave George H.W. Bush a blank check after Iraq invaded Kuwait in the summer of '89. Well, we need to go to war. We need to drive them out of Kuwait. They didn't give him the authority to declare. Only Congress can declare war, but they don't do that anymore. They just give the president whatever he wants. That's what they did on this date in 1991. And January 12th, 1993, there's Van Morrison, one of my all-time favorites. He was in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He was inducted that night. Sly and the Family Stone were inducted. They all showed up. Etta James was inducted. She showed up. The surviving 3 members of the Doors were there. The surviving 3 members of Creedence Clearwater Revival were there. All 3 members of Cream were there. They were all inducted, as was Van Morrison, who didn't show up. Van Morrison becomes the first living inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame not to bother to show up. He has his trophy somewhere. Well, at least he got inducted. I guess you really don't have to be there. Historical birthdays, one of my favorite authors of all time, Jack London, became the first American author to become worldwide known and make a lot of money writing books. He wasn't just an American author. His books went all over the world. People loved him. He became the first really American author to become an international celebrity. Of course, everybody's read The Call of the Wild. And of course, To Build a Fire is probably my second favorite short story. Jack London, born in the state in 1876. Ira Hayes, the great Johnny Cash song, Ira Hayes. Born 103 years ago today, Native American. He was the American Marine who raised the U.S. flag on Iwo Jima. He returned home from the war, and nothing really worked out after that. But the legend of Ira Hayes, you have to read about him. I don't have time to tell you about it. Born in the state in 1923. Smokin' Joe Frazier, heavyweight champion of the world from 1970 to 1973, the first boxer to beat Muhammad Ali. In fact, he only lost to 2 boxers in his entire career. He lost to Muhammad Ali twice, and he lost to George Foreman twice. Smokin' Joe Frazier, born in the state in 1944, and the first person in history to have a net worth exceeding $200 billion. From 2017 to 2021, he was the richest person in the world. As of this morning, I checked Forbes. He is the 3rd richest person in the world. Jeff Bezos is 62 years old today. For Heat and Air, call Alpine Air. For Heat and Air, call Alpine Air. They are our platinum sponsors. Platinum means good. We like good. We like Mike McNaughty for reasons I can't explain. His opinion is coming up. And of course, Chelan County has a new coroner. His name is Earl Crowe. He's a pretty interesting guy. You'll get a chance to meet him with Jefferson Robbins' conversation with Earl when we come back. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
NCW Life channel is your local TV station. We believe in being the spotlight and mirror to the communities we serve in North Central Washington. Programming on NCW Life would not be possible without our sponsors. Special thanks to our platinum sponsor, Alpine Air. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air.
Highlander Golf Course and Grill, your place for fun, food, and friends. Happy hour every day, 2 to 7. Try their brand new menu and famous prime rib every Saturday night. Planning a celebration? Book your holiday party, wedding, or private event, even in their exclusive simulator rooms. Highlander Golf Course and Grill, where every day is a celebration. Visit today.
For over 35 years, the Sangster family has been not only representing GMC, but the entire community.
As one of the few family-owned dealerships in Washington, you can count on our personal integrity, which has spanned over 3 generations, to ensure your satisfaction.
Sangster Motors stands behind everything we sell, from GMC professional-grade products and service from a professional-grade dealership.
Remember, caring about your family is what brings you back to ours.
Whether you're a new homeowner or looking to update, Save Mart in Wenatchee has everything you need. From top-of-the-line appliances to comfy mattresses and stunning furniture that fits your style, they have it all under one roof. With great deals and expert customer service, you'll find the perfect pieces for your space and your budget. Save Mart, your local destination for quality appliances, mattresses, and furniture at prices you'll love.
Hey, this is Mike, Mad Dog McNaughty, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, I believe, for what it's worth, that life begins at conception, and that aborting a fetus is killing it. That being said, I still consider that there are some circumstances, such as rape and incest, that are viable, ethical justifications for abortion. But my personal opinion, and yours, really doesn't matter, because even if abortion was outlawed universally, those with the means and the influence, many of those folks, let's not kid ourselves, who no doubt would tell you that they oppose abortion, these folks would still be able to obtain one. And if they can, everyone should be able to. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Your favorite local channel is now available for free on your smart TV and connected streaming devices. Watch live programming and catch up with the latest shows on demand. See the local stories that matter to you. NCW Life, now on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Raising a family may have seemed overwhelming to your parents, but they weren't. Coach, teacher, life guide, caregiver. Family takes care of family. And as the circle of life continues, you now are their caregiver. It may seem overwhelming, but we're here to help you find the support services necessary so you can provide quality care to your elders.
Call Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington at 1-800-572-4459.
Welcome to Mountain Chick Floral, your go-to flower and plant shop in downtown Wenatchee. Explore their wide variety of unusual and fun plants. And when you buy a plant in a container, they'll pot it up for you absolutely free. Birthday or weddings, they'll create the perfect floral arrangement for you. Brighten up your office with fresh blooms delivered to your door or business. Ask about floral subscriptions. Visit Mountain Chick Floral today, where every occasion is a reason to celebrate with flowers.
Your piece of land demands the very best equipment. Kubota equipment. The #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. with professional grade mowers, versatile sidekick utility vehicles, and compact tractors that get it done right. All backed by unmatched dealer support. Talk to your dealer today to schedule a demo.
Jefferson Robbins with NCW Life. Wayne Harris served as Chelan County Coroner for a good portion of the last several years, almost 2 decades. When he retired effective in December, he was replaced by his Chief Deputy Coroner, Earl Crowe. Earl was appointed to fill out that remainder of that term, and he joins me now. Earl Crowe, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. I wanted to ask about your arc as a death investigator. What made you initially want to get into that field as a career?
Well, so as a young child, I wanted to be a police officer, and ended up going into the Navy for 8 years, active duty, and learned that sights and smells don't bother me. Right, we've seen several incidents as fires and such on ship, and just working through my career, getting my degree in criminal justice and crime scene mapping and stuff, we ended up in Ohio from the Pacific Northwest. And I was working actually as a child support enforcement officer when a coroner's investigator called me one day about a case they had that somebody died, and I just happened to be working enforcement on the same case. And through that conversation, he said, I don't know what your background is, but your personality-wise, I think you'd be a good fit. You should call the director, and that's how it started.
Interesting. And you were working in Ohio at that time, right?
Yep, in Franklin County, so Columbus.
Yep. So what are the steps of a death investigation? When your pager or your phone goes off, what needs to happen to trigger the coroner's involvement?
So our first call is usually from Rivercom, unless the death happens in the hospital, then it'll be from a nurse. And we just go through our standard set of questions, and we're looking for, is there something suspicious, something out of the ordinary? Could it be a blatant homicide, suicide, accident? And we'll respond to all those cases. And then we'll have cases in the hospital where it may be natural, but their hospital staff has a concern, so we'll review those as well and go to the hospital. And then, we do our whole death investigation. First, it's taking notes, photographs, meeting with first responders. If there's family present in a scene, we'll chat with them for a minute. We'll go into the scene, do what we do as far as looking at the decedent, trying to come up with some immediate answers, and then go from there. Decide whether we're just going to do an external exam or toxicology or have to order an autopsy.
Now, autopsies is a category that I wanted to talk about. People think of the coroner's office as the site and center for autopsy if a death investigation calls for it. But that's not something that you as coroner specifically would do personally.
No, it has to be a forensic pathologist. However, my background, coming from Ohio, we were cross-trained. So not only did I go to scenes and do the forensic investigations, I also assisted in autopsies. So I probably assisted in over 5,000 cases as far as working with the doctor.
How many cases do you think, Earl, the Chelan County Coroner's Office investigates in a given year?
So in 2024, we had 628 total cases that we either went to the scene or we did file reviews, or that the health department system referred to us because of trigger words. For example, if a doctor put on a death certificate, cerebrovascular accident, well, that's a stroke, but the word accident triggers that to review to the coroner's office to make sure everything was filled out correctly. This year, we are slightly over that. I think we're at 640 for 2025. When I first started, we had roughly 400 cases.
And you started about 12 years ago as chief deputy for the coroner.
Yeah, next month will be 13 years.
So the rate or the number of cases that you're dealing with on a given basis has gone up over that time?
Yes.
What do you attribute that to?
Well, I just think that we have more population, and what people don't realize for Chelan County is that we have 2 major hospitals. So when somebody passes away, it's actually the county of death where the coroner takes over, not the county where the incident started. So if there's a car accident in Douglas County where they're transported to Central Campus and then pass away, it's our office that would actually handle the death. And we get more and more visitors from the west side or from out of state. They'll come hiking, mountain climbing. So we handle all those incidents where somebody has an accident and passes away.
Coroner Harris spoke pretty frankly about the rise in deaths related to overdose, specifically fentanyl. That's something you've had to deal with, I'm assuming, as well.
Yeah, so when we first started tracking that 3 or 4 years ago, we had 9, and then all of a sudden it went up 300% for us to 30, 32, 37. In November, we were right on track with the same number, but in December, we did not have any fentanyl overdoses. And then last year, in that same 31-day period, we had 10. So
sometimes cyclical.
Yes.
So the county commissioners whom you come to speak to about budget and policy matters, they recently approved an interlocal agreement with Benton County, where Benton County, I think, will be providing medical examiner services for Chelan County. Can you kind of outline that agreement and what that means for us?
Yeah, so it's kind of the same agreement that we have for King County, Pierce County, and Spokane. It gives our office another avenue to be able to get autopsies. What's great in my mind is the fact in wintertime, when the passes are closed and we can't get to King County, we can get to Tri-Cities. And it's the same cases where if we need an autopsy, we can go in 4 different directions now.
So if your office is handling a case, you would be doing the initial investigation, the processing, the handling of the deceased person's remains, but those remains would then be going to Benton County sometimes for actual autopsy.
Yep, actually for the physical autopsy, yes.
And it won't happen every time?
No, and we do get that question a lot, because you see on TV where every case there's an autopsy, and really it's about 10% of the cases may get an autopsy.
So I know that one thing that got underway during the previous coroner's term was the development of a facility on Omi Garden Road, a new county complex. And the coroner's offices are slated to have, I think your entire headquarters would be out there. Is that correct?
That's correct. And we've been working on that for 2 years. It's going to be a full facility. So we'll actually have a family room that we can meet with families. We'll have a training break room. Our offices will be upstairs. We'll have a separate room specifically for records. We will have an exam room because part of our job is also doing external exams. So if we don't order an autopsy, we'll view the decedent and do a diagram. So we'll have that space available. What's great about that is if we ever had another traveling pathologist, we could actually do autopsies here again. So, and then it'll have a secure property evidence room and a toxicology as well.
And I know, having visited your offices and the other facility that you use out in the old station area, space has been a real limiting factor for the coroner's office for quite some time.
It has been. We've been working out of that small, cooler area north of town, and then having to work out of funeral homes. And not only does this help us, it actually helps the funeral homes because that'll give them their spaces back. So,
when we're talking about, not to be too blunt about it, but storage.
Yes, yes. When we have to have people in refrigeration. Yep.
And I know that some of this was necessary in part because the way the state accredits coroner's offices changed in the last couple of years.
Yes. So it became law this past July that every office in the state needs to be accredited. That's something I've been pushing for. That was part of my budget. Coroner Harris allowed me to do the budget since he wouldn't be here. And there's things I put in because we're going to have to meet accreditation. There's 285 required standards. And once we start the process, it'll probably take about 10 months to be inspected. So this whole facility will meet all of those needs for accreditation.
Well, Earl, you're serving as coroner by appointment, and it's a politically appointed position and an elected position. Will you choose to run again in 2026?
Yes, absolutely. I've already announced that and did my public disclosure forms for that, yes.
Does coroner, with all of the very technical requirements of the job, does it really make sense as an elected position? And do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, it makes sense to me as an elected position for the way that the voters get to select who their coroner is. If it was solely by appointment, then you're really, you're bound by 3 commissioners only. And that could be good or that could be bad. But I think it's important to be elected. My question has always been, why is it a partisan position? Because in my mind, if my loved one was found deceased, would I care if they were Democrat or Republican? And the answer is no. I want somebody that knows how to do the job.
And in some counties, they have a different system of medical examiner systems, King County, for instance.
Yeah, so any county that has over 250,000 in population, the voters can then vote to make it a medical examiner's office versus a coroner. And that difference is medical examiner is a forensic pathologist that's appointed, and then coroner is elected.
And that person has to come into the job with professional qualifications before they can be appointed.
Correct. Yeah, which is probably 10 to 12 years of schooling past your medical school.
You were educated in Ohio. When you came back to Chelan County, to the northwest, to do this kind of work, did you find any particular, challenges or kinds of investigation that were more prevalent here than what you might have seen in Ohio?
There's more wilderness here. In Ohio, in Franklin County, there was about 1 million people. We handled 7,000 deaths a year, 125 to 150 homicides in the city every year alone. So there was, we had a large office though, 5 full-time pathologists, 12 investigators, and we were all cross-trained. And that's where I became board certified. But coming back here, the difference is, sure, there's less cases, but right now there's only 2 of us. And somebody passes away in Stehegan, we have to drive up to Manson, get on the sheriff's boat, go all the way up to Stehegan. And it could be 12 hours round trip. So the difference is just the mountainous areas to me.
Up until your appointment, you were serving as Chief Deputy Coroner. Who's your Chief Deputy Coroner now?
Faye Fetters. Faye started November 3rd, coming from New York, finishing up her master's degree, and we're currently in that 4-month training period.
And do you see any expansion for the office? I mean, you have a lot of needs. You're handling a lot of cases. Do you see any need for a third person?
I do. We've actually had a need for the last 7 years. Coroner Harris, we tried to work on that, and but this year for my budget, there was a lot of back and forth communication and dialogue between me and the Commissioner's office, and we should be able to post, or at least ask permission to post come June or July, and have a third investigator in place in October.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Well, Earl, Crowe, is there anything else you can think of that I didn't ask about the county coroner's office that you think people might be interested to know?
Well, a couple things. So one, I would say, you see a lot online when somebody passes away, and you see a lot of rumors and conspiracy theories. And the coroner's office doesn't put out a ton of information. The reason is because it's all confidential. So the families get that information, and if the families don't want to tell people everything that's going on, that's up to them. But I would just say that for those that make those comments, you really don't know what's going on in people's lives, and you don't know what the family's going through, and rumors and conspiracy theories and things like that. It hurts the families of their loved one. So I would just ask that people should consider that before posting. The other thing is I don't think people realize how much we actually work. Some people just think we sit in the office and wait for the phone to ring, but we actually, in a given year, between working in the office for hours and on-call hours, we average about 5,000 hours a year that we're tied to the phone. Now, for me, I've been doing this 22 years now. My family is used to that, but when I'm asked, certain questions about that, I say, well, I serve the people of the county, but I do it a lot of time at the detriment and the sacrifice of my family, much like when you're in the military. So it's not an easy job, and it really does take, I believe, special people to do it.
Well, Earl Crowe, the Chelan County Coroner, recently appointed, but good luck in the job.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're watching the NCW Live channel.
I'm Jen Mueller. Watch for my show, I Cook, You Measure, on NCW Life. It's part cooking instruction, part entertainment, and all about connecting over food and wine with your favorite Northwest athletes.
Watch I Cook, You Measure with Jen Mueller Mondays at 1, Wednesdays at 2, Fridays at 11 a.m., and Saturday and Sundays at 10:30 p.m. right here on the NCW Life channel.
Quick programming reminder before we give you the weather forecast and send you on out the door. Tomorrow, Tuesday, our cameras will be at the Numerica Performing Arts Center. Most people are working at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, but if you're curious to see who wants to be in the next Apple Blossom Festival Royal Court, You'll have a chance to do that tomorrow. It'll be right here on this very television station. We'll also stream it on our Facebook and YouTube page. All the senior girls from the Wenatchee and Eastmont School District who've thrown their hat into the ring will give their top 10 speeches at 1 o'clock at the America Performing Arts Center before a panel of out-of-town judges. Then they'll meet, and at 6 o'clock tomorrow, again, live right here, we'll have the top 10 announcement. From the National Weather Service, clouds this morning, sunshine this afternoon, very mild, 49 for the afternoon high. That's not a misprint. 40 for the overnight low. Then we're looking at some inversion for the most part. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Normally when we get an inversion in the wintertime, the high is 32 and the low is 32, but it's going to be a lot warmer than that. That's it for us. Be good, be safe. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.